Welcome, party people. Thank you so much for being a part of this virtual house party that we're having today. I am so excited to have you all here. Before we get started, just a bit of housekeeping. First, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the chat box. Also, as this is a celebration, we'll be having a special toast before the end of the event, so make sure to have your favorite drink handy, okay? You're invited because you have been major donors and supporters, and we sincerely appreciate your commitment and support. By the way, for those of you who don't know, my name is Jordan Brown. I'm the DJ for today's event, but I'm also the host for the brand new Black Voice News show, The Conversation with me, Jordan Brown. Here, I interview community leaders and other interesting people and learn about their work and their vision for the community with a focus on solutions that have lasting impacts. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our Black Voice News YouTube channel and check out my show as well as many other new shows and exciting things that we are doing and have on the way. And now, it is my honor to introduce you to our host. She is the second generation publisher of The Voice and Black Voice News, as well as the founder of Voice Media Ventures. She has over 30 years of experience in media, communication, and community engagement, and serves on numerous boards, including being the first Black chair of the California News Publishers Association. Her achievements include statewide and national awards for her columns, rants, and raves, but that is not all. After her many accomplishments, she is also my aunt, and I am so elated to introduce you to our host for today, Dr. Paulette Brown-Hines. Woo!
Thank you, Jordan. I am so proud of you and all you are doing creatively and academically. Jordan is working on her doctorate in anthropology at UC Riverside, which is also where I attended graduate school. as well as the place where the Black Voice News started 49 years ago this month. So we're celebrating an anniversary. First, I want to thank all of you for your support. You were invited to this event because you were either a significant donor or a special supporter. It's just a small group of you that we want to give you a preview of what we have been doing and what we have to come. And it's also an opportunity to introduce you to members of our team, especially our Report for America core member, Brianna Reeves, who just joined us last month. We'd also like to hear from you what types of reporting we should be doing. What are some of the unreported or underreported issues? When it comes to reporting on justice issues in the Inland Empire, where are the gaps? We'd love to hear from you. You could drop your thoughts in the chat during this event. Or if you're watching this post-production, please email your thoughts to me or any one of our team members. Our mantra at the Black Voice News is justice-seeking reporting, and it is our North Star. During this event, you'll hear more about the focus of our newsroom from our executive editor, Stephanie Williams. You know, Ida B. Wells, whose spirit is all around me, once said, journalism must shine the light on the truth. And that's what we aspire to do every day. We look at disparities, inequities, and discriminatory policies, and we call them out. We advocate for transparency, and we champion reform. When my parents took over the stewardship of the Black Voice News in 1980, there was no internet. There was no social media. There were no smartphones. Back then, print was the only delivery method, and the journalism we produced was supported by advertisers who paid a premium to put their message in front of our audience. Now we publish on multiple platforms, like YouTube, and we still have a weekly print edition. We post on the web, we share on Facebook and Instagram, we tweet, and we produce electronic newsletters. We build story maps, and we use geographic information systems to visualize data in the stories that we tell. And while advertising continues to support our journalism, the shift from print to digital has forced our entire industry to innovate new business models to allow us to continue to fulfill our mission to serve society through information and education. So some of the changes we made this year, we transferred our website to a new platform, which is called NewsPack, and it will allow us to more easily publish newsletters, which is news direct to your inbox, share on social, and accept donations from our audience, which is an important new aspect of revenue generation to support the newsroom. And we really do appreciate your financial support. We spent time hiring more journalists. We hired a data analyst and a full-time reporter, both you will meet today. And as we build out our data unit, we envision building capacity not only for ourselves, but for other publications like ours. And to that end, we just hired a data journalism consultant to work with our team and help train them on data reporting. Proudly, I'd love to say all Black women who are working with us. You know, last year was tough, but we used it as an opportunity to accelerate our transformation and build capacity. Because of the pandemic and the crisis that many local news organizations faced, and after the killing of George Floyd and the calls for racial justice and equality, there was more funding available to organizations like ours. We applied for as much as we could find, and thanks in part to our grant writer, Burgess Jules. Yes, we do have a grant writer on staff, whose grant funding has really become a part of the revenue mix, a fast-growing part of the revenue mix for news media. So we were awarded several large grants and funding to support this transformational work that we're embarking on. First was a $100,000 COVID Facebook grant, which allowed us to hire a freelance data journalist to write a series about the impacts of the pandemic and the impacts it had on our community. Her focus was housing, and we won a statewide journalism award for that reporting. We received a second Facebook journalism grant for an accelerator program, which allowed us to work and allowed our team actually to work with 19 other newsrooms across the country on audience-centered business strategies to improve the work we produce. We received a Report for America grant, and we're part of the Report for America program, which you'll hear more about when we introduce Brianna. With that program, we received $25,000 to pay for half of Brianna's salary, and we pay a quarter, and then we get support from the local community for the other quarter. So thank you to a recent large contribution from our supporters, the Malfeds. We're really close to completing that goal, and we're excited about that. We also received a $20,000 grant from the Knight Foundation to continue to train our staff on our new content management system. We were really excited to be awarded that grant because it was a very competitive process. And finally, the big one that we received was a Google News Initiative Innovation Challenge funding, and that was $300,000, which we were so thrilled to receive for a business idea that we've been thinking about for several years now. When we started doing this mapping work, we realized that we needed better data to do the mapping that we wanted to do. And so we had this idea of a data hub and a content sharing platform. We're calling it the Hub, and it's being developed right now with an organization called ABP. We're really, really excited about that. It's going to take us several more months, but our team is working with their team in creating this new hub and content sharing platform. So we've been doing quite well on the grant front. We are also applying for many reporting grants to support this wonderful newsroom that we're building. As I mentioned in opening comments, our newsroom's North Star is justice-seeking reporting. And our leader, I'll call her our Harriet Tubman, to continue the metaphor, in this case is Stephanie Williams, who just recently won a statewide award for her weekly commentary. A well-deserved honor. Congratulations, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
For so many of you, for so many years, you've done this work basically alone, digging into stories, uncovering problems, being a watchdog for local agencies. You're now leading a growing newsroom and training emerging journalists on how to frame, how to source, and how to construct a good story. And like me, you are leading and learning simultaneously. And I just truly appreciate your commitment to keeping the community informed and educated.
Well, thank you.
Can you just share briefly, what are some of the current stories the team is working on right now, Stephanie?
Well, Paulette, we have, first, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And also thank our audience for joining us tonight. And we are currently working on a number of series, and they're varied. I'll begin by sharing a little bit about our Year in COVID series, where we're kind of taking a look in the rear view mirror at 2020. And we've done several reports already this year, and we have a new report coming out next week, and it's a multi-segment article where we are looking at loss beyond the tragic loss of life. So what other things did we lose as a result of COVID? And so it's a very engaging piece, and I'm hoping that our audience will enjoy that. Another piece in the series that we're really excited about is something that we've been working on for several months in terms of gathering data with one of our media partners, and that is excess deaths in 2020. And we're looking specifically at Riverside and San Bernardino County. There's been a reporting done in other areas in the state, and so we want to see what the impact was here in our area.
Is that with our news source?
Yes, with our news
Oh, great.
source,
Investigative
yes.
team there. That's going to be a wonderful partnership. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We also started a series last month on domestic violence, and that's going to run through the end of the year. And we have a couple of articles in the pipeline that will be released in the next week or so. And we have a really exciting piece that we're working on that we hope to produce in the next couple of months, where we're going to take a kind of a different cut at this, where we're looking at domestic violence and intimate partner violence calls to 911, and how many of those calls are resulting in felony or misdemeanor charges, how many of those charges result in convictions. And another angle we are taking on the story is, how does what the 911 database is tracking measure against what the police departments are saying, are recording and reacting to? So that should be quite an interesting piece. We also have a series on essential workers, and this is looking uniquely at the African-American workers and what they experienced during COVID. And we started that series last week. Our first report was released. We are going to be releasing the next report in that series, hopefully this weekend. And so that is certainly something to look forward to. And another piece that we're working on right now, we're gathering the research for, is this history of sheriff appointments in San Bernardino County, and trying to understand how they're passing the sheriff's position from sheriff to sheriff, like you pass a baton without violating any laws. So that should be an interesting piece. So those are some of the short-term things that we're working on.
It's always so exciting to me to hear the work that's being done, and what's really being done with a small, dedicated group. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing when working on these stories, Stephanie?
They're pretty kind of typical things, like finding the right data to support the narrative. And hopefully the hub will help us with that as we move to the future. Also, at times finding candidates that are willing to be interviewed for some of the tough stories, some of the hard stories, and getting people to go on record. That's challenging at times. And then beyond that, it's the usual getting responses to our requests from municipal and government agencies, either to our telephone calls and or public records requests, where, by law, they're required to respond within a certain period, and they do, but often those responses say, we can't answer yet, we need, more time, and then it extends out. So I would say those are the major things that we face on an ongoing basis.
Well, we'll keep working at it. We'll keep working at it,
Yes.
Trying to overcome those obstacles. Well, I know you want, excited to introduce the team, but I just want to personally thank you again for your leadership and your commitment to keeping the community informed, and really to keep those in power accountable to the people. Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Well, thank you, Paulette, for the opportunity. And now, with that, I would like to share with all of you here tonight a little bit about how we are approaching our reporting this year and going forward in time. And in this post-pandemic world, which we hope will be a post-pandemic world, we are really working to structure our narratives in a way, as Paulette mentioned, that are justice-oriented and focused on members of this community. And we're transitioning the way that we're telling stories by not only focusing on the justice aspect, but also assuring, as Paula mentioned earlier, that they're data-driven. And the third element that we're adding is solutions-oriented. So we don't want to just talk about what's wrong, but we also want to present some ideas on some possible solutions that may have been tried in other places, or things that are already being talked about or tried here within our own region. And when we talk about justice-seeking reporting, I'd like to explain a little bit about that. We're not just talking about justice from the perspective of the law that should actually ensure that every person, regardless of race, creed, color, sex, or sexual orientation, receives the natural and legal rights that they're entitled to by law. But beyond that, we're talking about justice as it's rooted in the concept of moral correctness, based on balance, fairness, equity, ethics, and of course, what's rational and morally right. And this encompasses a broad range of topics, including everything from, criminal justice, which we usually think about initially, to housing, to health, to the environment, and so on. And now that we have this justice seeking as our North Star, we're also committed to enhancing our stories by using more personal narratives. And as our team grows, it gives us a greater opportunity to do that. And as we also talked about, with data whenever possible. So I'd like to, just before I introduce our data analyst that has joined our team, Alex Reed, I wanted to say a little bit about, and Paulette touched on this a bit, that for a long time we had this idea that if we could just have someone on our team that had the skills and abilities to pull the data, analyze, clean it, analyze it, and present it in a way that would be meaningful to our audience, that would really help elevate what we're trying to do as an organization. And we needed someone with the skills and ability to do that. And when Alex Reed joined our team, we got that and so much more. Alex not only finds a data that we request, but she also has the ability to look at the numbers and find a story in that data that maybe we hadn't anticipated or thought about. So that brings an additional element to the work that we're trying to do. And she's experienced in most areas of user interface, including everything from videos to print media to graphic design, and again, to data visualization. So that helps us in our storytelling be able to present the information in a way that is more easy for the readers to consume. And having a data expert in-house has really made a significant difference in the type and quality of work we're able to do. And so with that, I'd like to welcome Alex to talk to you a little bit about what she's been doing with the team. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much for all those kind things you had to say. Like Stephanie said, my name is Alex Reed. I'm a data researcher and visualizer with Black Voice News underneath their initiative Mapping Black California. In my broader practice, I operate under the tagline, a Jane of all trades. I know the saying is generally followed by a master of none, but my goal in all the titles I've held as video and graphic designer, as content curator, as marketer, researcher, and most importantly, as a problem solver, has always been to build an interaction, a moment where data and storytelling intersect, and a user, reader, student, they find themselves engaged with and engrossed in the information that they have previously thought was sort of beyond their reach or outside of their scope. When I came to work for Black Voice News, it was with a specific task in mind: build a website. I did not expect for that short-term venture to grow into something that so directly mirrors my mission as a Jane of all trades. With each new project or piece of journalism, I get to test the boundaries of my knowledge and skill, as well as the boundaries of what mapping, graphing, and visualization software is meant to do. More so with our Google News Initiative project, The Hub, I've had the amazing privilege of paving the way for future researchers, analysts, and data journalists to do their all-important work with fewer roadblocks than encountered by the generations before them. In that way, my work has become a positively radical act, not only by addressing head-on the issues that range from disparities in health and education to social justice and civil rights, but by also demonstrating the time and time again the difficulties in mining and displaying unbiased, minority-centered data. COVID-19 provided a poignant opportunity to highlight how the experiences of minority groups are often obfuscated by the amount of representation they lose to scale. With our COVID-19 and Black California dashboard, we undertook the considerable challenge of aggregating Black-centered data from unfiltered, unactualized sources, independently verifying that information, and then refocusing those results into a comprehensive yet at-a-glance platform. In doing this, we filled the gaps in both representation and accessibility. With a few clicks, every Black Californian can access the information they need to better affect health, economic, and policy outcomes in their communities. By focusing on data journalism around Black California, we opened the door to comprehensive, authoritative recordings of the minority experience, and we build a better platform from which future generations of researchers can base their work. It's projects like The Hub and COVID-19 on Black California dashboard that have me so beyond excited that I get to be a part of this team. I'm going to hand it back to Stephanie right now to introduce another integral colleague.
Thank you, Alex. And now it's going to be my pleasure to introduce our Report for America core member. I'm sorry. And before I do so, though, I'd like to tell you a little bit about her. Brianna joined us about a month ago, and we were just, although we were excited to be selected as part of the Report for America team, we were even more excited when we learned that Brianna had selected our newsroom to become a part of. And I'm saying that because I know she had choices of where she could take her talents. And Brianna has a bachelor's degree in print and online journalism from San Francisco State University and a master's degree in politics and communications from the London School of Economics. She has reported on activism and social inequities in both San Francisco and her hometown, although it's a pretty big town of Los Angeles. She is also experienced in reporting on undercovered issues and underserved communities, all of which aligns perfectly with our mission here at Black Voice News. And she has experience also in covering breaking news stories, managing social media, and developing graphics, video to context, and so forth. And in her professional letters of recommendation that we received about Brianna and her work, she was described, and I'm going to quote this exactly, she was described as exceptionally motivated and someone well on her way to becoming a journalist steeped in understanding the intersectionality of social groups based on a variety of categories, including race, class, and gender. And she's already begun to display that in her reporting in the short time that she's been with us. Also, in the unique environment that is the Inland Empire, which largely results from our evolving and rapidly changing demographics, Brianna brings a unique personal perspective with her background as an Afro-Latina and someone who knows what it's like to not align with the typical definition of what a Latino is in the United States. And I think that adds some additional value to our team, definitely adds value to our team. One of the themes that stood out among the recommendations we received about Brianna was that we could expect great things from her as a reporter and a storyteller. And she's delivering on that promise in the few short weeks she's been with us. Now, before Brianna comes forward to share with you, we have a short video we'd like you to watch. It just takes a couple of minutes and it'll give you a background on the Report for America program and its core members. Thank you.
Have you heard of Teach for America? How about the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps? Well, Report for America is like a Teach for America for journalists. It's a national service program that places emerging journalists into local newsrooms to report on undercovered communities and issues. It's an initiative of the Ground Truth Project and aspires to strengthen local communities and democracy through local journalism that is truthful, fair, fearless, and smart. Each year, Report for America has two rigorous competitions. First, we choose great local newsrooms like yours, the ones who have identified important gaps in coverage and plans to address those. We promise to get them great journalists and pay about half of their salaries. Then, in an incredibly competitive process, we judge applications from emerging journalists from all over America and pick the best of the best. Newsrooms choose from among a handful of candidates the emerging journalists who will best fit its needs. These journalists are called Report for America core members because this is a national service movement. That's in part because the core members are required to do a community service project during their off hours. But it's more than that. We all believe that local reporting is, or should be, a public service. Then in June, a core member arrives in your newsroom. Typically, they have anywhere from 2 to 5 years of experience, but some are superstars, right out of college, while others are more experienced. They are not interns or fellows, but full-time staffers in every way. Report for America is not a reporter training program. It's a strengthening communities program. If you have questions, find out more at www.reportforamerica.org.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Stephanie. As Stephanie said, I'm incredibly lucky to have joined the Black Voice News team by way of Report for America and to be able to serve the Inland Empire community. I'm very fortunate to have come across Black Voice News because newsrooms don't look like this. They don't look like me, but this one does. This newsroom is dedicated to reporting the news and consciously reporting issues for Black audiences, which is so important in this day and age. I'm very thankful to be a part of this team and to report on health disparities and other social inequities that are so important to the communities we serve. I'm currently working on a story about Black essential workers who are on the front lines during the pandemic and their experiences with lack of PPE and stress and workplace protection. And I hope to keep reporting on more stories like this, stories that highlight real issues and prompt solutions. I want to tell more stories about local communities and the issues that impact them in their everyday lives. With Black Voice News, I plan to strengthen my reporting skills by utilizing data and data visualization to help me tell these stories better. I'm just so thankful to be here today. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brianna. We were so thrilled to have Brianna join us, and she's just been, as Stephanie mentioned, has delivered on the promise in the past just few short weeks that she's been with us. I want to thank Stephanie, Alex, and Brianna. You know, you can see as our supporters and donors, you can see why we're so excited about the work we're doing. We're just at a great point right now in our history. But I want to kind of shift a little bit and just talk about what we need from you. You're here because you believe in our work, and you believe our work is an important public good. And we want to thank you again for your support, for your donations, and for your time. Christian Irving, our Director of Audience and Revenue, will be dropping a link in the chat. And we ask that if you can do one of these three things for us, one or all. Some of my good friends should be able to do all of these things. But number one, if you could share with us 2 or 3 people in your network that you believe should know more about our work. Or if you prefer, we can send you a message that you can share with your larger network. We are a different organization now, and we want to make sure that other audiences know what kind of work we're doing. You saw the dashboard that Alex worked on, and it's interesting because we posted that dashboard, and I don't think people understood that, like, we created that from scratch. We used Esri's software, visualization software, but all of the data came from a lot of hard work from Alex and the team. So we want to share with a wider audience the work that we're doing. Number 2, you can add to your donation. If you're one of my folks who's already donated, you can always add to your donation. Any small contribution really helps. Christian's going to drop a link in the chat. That's a Report for America fundraising account link, and that would give you a tax-deductible donation. And if you want a tax-deductible donation, please use that. Those funds come directly to us to support Brianna's position in the newsroom. Number 3, we would love to work with you to host a Black Voice News event. We're starting to do these more. We didn't do them during the pandemic. Like I said, we were doing a lot of kind of just groundwork. But now we're ready to do more events to talk about the work we're doing. We can tailor it to your network. We can share what we're seeing in the data that we're researching. We could also do some things that are more historical. We do the Footsteps to Freedom study tours. We have a rare collection of artifacts. My brother Hardy manages that, and some people are very interested in it. We found that a lot of people go to our website for historical information, so we're going to be releasing a series of videos based on that collection in the coming months. Or we can have Stephanie share more about the reporting that we have planned or that we're working on. So if you want to host an event, please message Christian as well. She should have her information in the chat. I often reflect on the nature of the work that we do, the liberating nature of the work that we do as news media, especially as Black press. We've played a key role in the fight for social justice and civil rights. And here at the Black Voice News, in the spirit of that legacy, we are building a team, as you can see, that will provide solutions-based data reporting that helps us understand the issues and amplify the solutions to solve some of the systemic problems we continue to face in this country. I think we're going to have our team come back so we can do this toast. I want you all to join us in this moment of celebration. Good to see you, Stephanie, Brianna, Alex. I hope everyone has a favorite beverage with you. I have lemonade. No liquor in lemonade. So we want to end this event by raising a glass, celebrating our anniversary, 49 years, and welcome Brianna to our growing team. And to all of you, our supporters and donors, please raise a glass with us. I want to thank Stephanie, our fearless newsroom leader, Alex, doing all of that great data work, Brianna, telling those stories. I want to thank all of you for giving us your time today. And I also want to thank our team behind the scenes, Marla Mateem and Christian Irving. And now Jordan, I think, is going to play us out.
On behalf of the entire Black Voice News family, we'd like to thank you all for coming to celebrate with us today. Your continued support means everything. You keep us growing and innovating. If you haven't, please make sure to follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Most of all, stay safe, stay engaged, and stay empowered. We are here for you. And remember that. And here's a little something for you all to enjoy on your way out. Peace out. Let's go. All right.